Howdy folks, Jörg here from Dreamland Resort. This is what our valley here in Rachel looks like today. You can barely see the mountains, and there is a very strong smell of fire in the air. The size of the Quail Springs Fire at the foot of Bald Mountain is now listed at 13,619 acres in size and 12% contained. The Meadow fire inside the test site is at 17,360 acres, with no information on containment. By far the most smoke is now coming from the Meadow fire. Tomorrow, Saturday, they are planning the annual midnight marathon on the highway. To me, that does not seem to be a good idea right now. It can't be healthy to be breathing the smoke, which likely contains toxic byproducts of the fire, let alone run in it. Yesterday we had around 8 or 10 firefighting aircraft fighting the Quail Springs Fire. Here's some footage of some of the aircraft taken from Rachel. You can see the airborne command center and some of the tankers. When they were actually dumping their load, they were low, behind the mountain range from Rachel. I did a live stream yesterday showing the tracks of the aircraft and broadcasting the almost non-stop radio traffic between the tankers and the airborne command center. In case you missed it, I will put the link in the description. There was some concern that the fire could jump the mountain range and come into our valley. Even if it did, the fire would likely starve in the valley due to a lack of fuel. But the fire crews were not taking any chances. They worked all day to keep us safe. Several people had asked about radiation. That is a valid concern because the burnt vegetation grew downwind from the former Nevada test site, where in the 1950s many nuclear tests were conducted. So today I'm heading out with my Geiger counter. The first reading is near Rachel. It shows about 16 or 17 microgram per hour, which is just slightly above the normal background radiation around here. I want to go up to the road to the Bald Mountain gates. That area, according to the map, was affected by the fire, but is no longer active. Along the way, I pass the firefighter base camp at the gravel pit north of the highway. Here I'm in Tikaboo Valley at the turn-off to the Bald Mountain gates. As you can see, the air is not much better than in our valley. Here the Geiger counter reads about the same as near Rachel, about 16 or 17 microgram per hour, close enough to the normal background radiation. About 2/3 of the way to the gates, I see several vehicles ahead of me. Looks like another base camp for the firefighters. As I'm slowly approaching the camp, I can see several flatbed trucks for heavy equipment to the right of the road. On the left are a couple of tanker trucks. A helicopter appears overhead and hovers to refill its bucket from the tanker trucks. Then, within seconds, it heads back towards the mountain range to put out some remaining hotspots. There were no signs indicating the road was closed, but one of the firefighters states that it is closed and politely asks me to turn around and head back to the highway. Of course, I do as he asks and turn around. On the way back, still near the base camp, I take another reading with my Geiger counter. The radiation is slightly elevated at 22 or 23 microrem per hour, still well below critical levels. At least the fire does not seem to have produced significant radiation. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.